Republican senator from Montana, Tim Sheehy, a decorated combat veteran who served as a Navy SEAL officer and was deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq. Senator, thank you very much. It's good to have you with us today. You know, we all understood that we saw this extraordinary operation, 37 miles in the sky for these B-2 bombers, extraordinary event that happened on overnight on Saturday night. And that night we were told we don't have the BDA, or the following morning from the Pentagon, we were told by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, we don't have the bombing damage assessment quite yet. We have to wait for that. Now you've got these reports trickling out. Some are saying that there are unnamed officials in the Defense Intelligence Agency saying that it has been set back by months, but not years. What do you make of all this? And what does your own military background tell you in terms of how we should approach these early reports?
BDA is battle damage assessment, and we do BDAs after any kinetic strike that we conduct. And during the War on Terror, my former community, the Special Operations community, conducted kinetic strikes all over the world, but of course, as you mentioned, specifically in the CENTCOM AOR. And anytime you have a kinetic strike, you have to do a battle damage assessment. And how that's conducted is a number of different ways. Daylight imagery, nighttime imagery, infrared, hyperspectral, LiDAR. Of course, boots on the ground. Sometimes guys like me would get sent in to actually inspect the strike location and see what happened to determine if the individual or location you were targeting was in fact destroyed. And of course, we're not going to send boots on the ground at Iran. So really the gold standard for BDA here, in addition to those other sources I mentioned, is, communication between senior enemy officials talking to each other saying this was destroyed, that was destroyed. So BDA can take days and weeks to fully understand. It's not realistic to expect us to have a precision down, to the nitty gritty this quickly. And it's not also uncommon, Martha, for our intelligence agencies to disagree over what the BDA says, because one agency's job is satellite reconnaissance, one is signals intelligence, one's human intelligence, and very often those different sources of intel will have differing data early on. So it's going to take a few days for that to synthesize, but I think we can all agree, everyone agrees, this strike set Iran back severely, and most importantly showed to the world we're not going to tolerate this kind of behavior, and President Trump acted righteously. Yeah,
this action really has been discussed by every president since Bill Clinton, wanting to eliminate this program or wanting to prevent Iran from getting nuclear weapons. And there's one thing is not in doubt, and that is that this is the boldest operation that we have seen in order to achieve that goal. Now, we may not go in on the ground to assess it, as you just mentioned, Senator Sheehy, but we do know that Israel has had people in country. And we also know that those holes are opened up pretty wide now in a lot of areas. So I think it's very important what you're saying, that it will take some time to truly assess this. We also want to keep in mind what we heard from the IAEA chief, that Iran said that they were going to try to move some of this material to another place. And Vice President Vance has also talked about 900 pounds of enriched uranium that may be somewhere else. That's a long question, but your take on that, sir.
Well, as you said, there's a lot of strands flowing in, the 400 kilos of fissile material that we know that may have been moved out of the facility. I don't think anybody assumed that Iran was going to sit there and keep everything in Fordo and the other locations and wait for us to strike. There's no question they're going to try to diffuse their program so that we can't take it all out at once. But no matter what the BDA says, there's no question we've severely set their program back. And again, more importantly, we've sent a message to the Ayatollah and their terrible murderous regime that they're dealing with there's a new sheriff in town. We're not going to tolerate them literally trying to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, trying to attack American servicemen and American bases across the region, which they've been doing. Let's not forget, they started this war with us 46 years ago. So President Trump taking the war to Iran, it's not starting a war, it's ending one. They've essentially been allowed to conduct combat operations against innocent civilians and American troops all over the world for the last half century without response from us directly. And for me personally, as someone who lost friends to the Iranians, who fought the Iranians directly and indirectly throughout the region in our insurgency wars there, I'm glad we have a president who's standing up to this threat and hitting it head on.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to hearing more of the assessment. There is no doubt that we are much closer than we ever were to eliminating Iran's nuclear program. And the fact that they gave us a heads up that they were going to be sending some missiles to our base in Qatar just tells you really, I think, all you need to know about where their posture is right now and what they need to do to face safe back home. But they don't want to be struck again. I think that's pretty clear. Tim Sheehy, Senator, great to see you as always. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, Martha.
Quick break. We'll be right back.